Hi, everyone. This is Tadi. I'm glad to be here this moment to bring yet another exciting discussion on a very important topic today. I want to apologize. We were not able to do it yesterday because of some things that came up. And so we are starting now. Um, there was an unforeseen situation that I had to handle yesterday. So thank you for joining today. As usual, as you join, please share the video so that others can join. And also like the video. So we have a very important topic to discuss today. Um, and we'll be focusing today on how your bad order affect or shape your dating or marriage relationship. That will be our topic for today. Uh, so again, the topic is how your birth order affects or shapes your dating and marriage relationship. So last week we concluded our session on these two issues on love and dating in marriage. And today we are switching to something new and fresh. Once again, tell us where you're watching from. Please like the video and share, invite others to join. So I'm going to start with a story as people join here. A very important story that will really, set us going on this important topic. This is the story of Jesse and Jemima. Um, So Jesse and Jemima were married. They loved each other. They dated for quite some months, and they felt that it was okay for them to marry, and they're gonna enjoy their lives together. So they did all of the required traditional and cultural things, and they get married in the church. Both of them are good Christians. They love Jesus, and they are they 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 are God fearing. They have good family foundations, really good parents, and they are very committed in church. They study their Bible, they pray. They are up and doing. They're really good Christians. So, and this is a true life story. So I want you to listen to this story. This is a true life story. So once they got married, um, on the a few days after the wedding, so the husband now is taking his wife to a hotel where they will stay for their honeymoon. So Jesse, books a hotel to stay with Jemima. And so they went, and as they arrived, his sister, Mary, called. Jesse's sister called and said, "Where are you?" And he said, "We are in a hotel." Which hotel? And then they mentioned it. And then the sister, that is the husband's sister, Mary, she said, "I also want to be in that hotel." So she told her brother that she wants to be in that hotel too, that he should also book a room for her. So Jesse didn't argue. He quietly books a hotel for her, a hotel room for her, and he booked the room next to their own room. And so Mary arrives at the hotel with her 3 kids. She has 3 children. She brings her kids to the hotel, and they went, and they stayed in the room just next to the room of the newly, married couple. And then she went there to greet them, and then she started talking with them. They ate together, and then she stayed in their room till 8 p.m. She was there in her brother's room. He's there with his new bride for honeymoon, and his sister was there in the room. 8 p.m. she was there, 9 p.m. she was there, 10 p.m. she was there, 11 p.m. she was there in their room. The bride was so disturbed, but the husband was just sitting there. He didn't ask his sister to leave, and the sister was there. 10 p.m., 11 p.m., 12 p.m., 1, even 2 a.m., a sister to the groom was in their room. So imagine you are getting married. You just got married. You are there with your new husband in a hotel room for honeymoon, and his sister told your husband, to book a hotel room for her. He books a room next to your own room. She brings her children. They stay there, and then she comes into your room and stays there until 2 a.m. in the morning. And your husband doesn't say anything. And then until around after 2 a.m., then she left. Early in the morning, she comes back around 7 to the room, just talking with them. Now, if you were the one, what would you do? And what is the root of this problem? Why would a man's sister go into his hotel room and stay with him and his new bride until 2 a.m. talking with them, and the following morning she comes back, and then she begins to tell him what next they should do, and begins to tell him what next they should do. Down the line, she's telling him what next to do. This is a true life story. I know for anyone listening to me, you know that this is just not right. Something is wrong somewhere. This is not right. And what is the problem? The problem is this. It turns out that this sister, Mary, is the firstborn in the family, and Jesse is the lastborn in the family. So, as you join us, please tell us where you are watching from. Our topic today again is how your birth order affects or shapes your dating and marriage relationship. How your birth order affects or shapes your dating and marriage relationship. So, and we're studying the story of Jesse and Jemima. They're newly married. And the sister, the older sister to Jesse, is trying to control them up to the point of staying in the same hotel room with them until 2 a.m. while they are on honeymoon. And we are saying that we did an understudy of this couple, and we realized that the husband is a lastborn, and his sister, Mary, is the firstborn in the family. Things like this happen. Those of you listening to me, maybe you're married, you have experienced this. Maybe you're not married, you're dating, but you have experienced this. People experience this. Birth order has a way of impacting your relationship, whether in dating or in marriage. And that is what I will be talking about today. And the thesis today, the central argument, the central message today is that your birth order and that of your partner can impact the success and the peace of your marital life. Your birth order or that of your partner can impact the success or the peace of your marital life or your dating relationship. What is birth order, by the way? By birth order, we mean to something that refers to your position or your rank by age among your siblings. Your position or your rank by age among your siblings. That's what we mean by birth order. That is, are you the first child? Are you second? Are you third? Are you fourth? Are you fifth? Or are you the lastborn? What we are saying is that where you fall determines a lot of things in your life, actually, but most especially in your relationship with your partner, either you're dating or when you're married. Now, birth order is a gift from God. You know, if you read scripture, you see that, you know, God made some firstborns, secondborn, thirdborn, and then lastborns. We have that. We have in the story of Cain and Abel. You know, you see what happened. We have in the story of Noah, his true children. You know, we have in the story of Jacob. You know, Jacob have 12 sons. So beginning with Reuben to Benjamin. And you can see how that plays out in their life. So God is the one who makes people either firstborn or secondborn or lastborn. So it's a gift from God. It's not a bad thing. And there is nothing wrong with the order. Whatever you fall, we are not saying there is anything wrong. But we are saying that it can impact your relationship. In fact, it shapes your personality. and also can impact your relationship in society, but especially in marriage. Um, Alfred Adler is a researcher. Alfred Adler developed what we call the birth order theory. I'm not a psychologist and I don't claim to be one, but I use whatever is out there that can be useful because I read many things. So I don't claim to be a psychologist here. But I want to talk about Alfred Adler. He developed the birth order theory, and according to him, the order in which a child is born shapes and develop their personality. So it focuses more on personality. And one of the things we're going to see is that in the Western world, the focus is on personality, actually. In Africa, is both personality and also how it affects your relationship with family members. Of course, I know in the Western also they talk about that, but I will explain why I want to emphasize how in Africa this is a little different. And that is very, very important. So there are other factors that impact a person's personality, like family, community, social aspect, and other things play a major role. But we are saying that birth order plays the most important role here. Now, in terms of personality, firstborns have certain character traits that they are known for. Now, these are generalizations. There are exceptions to the rule. These are generalizations. So we will talk about firstborns, middle child, and then lastborn. There are some common characteristics that they have. For firstborns, they are mostly leaders. So those of you that are parents, you know this. When you have a firstborn, you have people who are leaders. You begin to see leadership qualities in them. They are responsible most of the times, of course, maybe because of the way the parent raised them as the first child, you know. They are more responsible, they are more melancholic, they are a little bit quiet, they are not all over the place, they are a little bit quiet and more commanding, more wanting things in order, very intelligent, mostly firstborns are intelligent, they are very independent. Of course, we can see that because of, you know, they were the only child at the beginning. And then they are perfectionists, mostly. First child are perfectionists. And they like to control people. And we can see why, because, you know, they are up there and then everyone is below them. So they grow with that character trait. So these personality qualities have a way of shaping firstborns and also impacting their married life. For middle children, like a middle child is usually highly competitive. So once you have a middle child, you know, a middle child is somebody above them, there's someone or some people below them. So they are kind of in between. They kind of struggle between those who are older than they and those who are younger. They obey commands, but also they command other people. And so they are very competitive, you know, because they are either second or third or fourth, so they want to be as if they are up there, but then they are down here. They have a toughened lifestyle, if I can use that phrase. A toughened lifestyle means that they are used to, you know, being pushed around by different people. So they can endure a lot of hardship. They can endure large crowds. They're able to talk in front of people. They're able to intermingle with people. They're more social. So compared to the firstborn, who is a little more quiet, but more of controlling and giving authority, and more responsible, more melancholic, more of a leader. So, but a middle child is more flexible. Actually, they can be leaders also, and they can be followers. So it all depends. So that is middle. There are so many things. I'm just giving you summary. That is the middle child. What of lastborns? Please don't forget, I said these are generalizations. It doesn't mean that every single person is like that. But generally speaking, that is what we see. Lastborns are mostly followers. You know, they are last, so they don't have authority on anyone. So they're largely they are followers. They follow orders from everybody, from parents to all of their siblings, because they are lastborns. they are less responsible. Sometimes they're treated, differently. They're treated like an egg. Is the last born. In the Nigerian culture, we'll say "dang outa," and we'll, especially some years back. I don't know if parents still do that. I don't think so. So they're treated kind of in a special way, and so they are more playful. They are less serious. They are dependent. They depend on everybody else. Everybody is doing something for them, and everybody is telling them what to do. And so those are some of the qualities of lastborns. So firstborns, middle children, and then lastborns. These are three categories that we have, and their characteristics. So in traditional African society, this is very important. Please, if you are just joining, tell us where you're joining from, and share the video so that others can join us. So in traditional African society, these ranks or these age positions have a way of impacting how you behave in this family and in the larger community. In the Western world, it's a little different because the Western world does not put a lot of emphasis on age. And so in the Western world, you see, like one of my first cultural shock in class was when I went to the class, and then the teacher comes in, who is a professor in his 70s, and then the student just calls his first name and say, "Hey, Charles, what are we doing today?" And that is his professor. You call his first name. Like, you don't do that in most African countries. But here is different. So, but in African society, age is something that is really valued. People will respect you because of your age. So it's changing, but it's still there. So because of that traditional African worldview or value about age, your position in terms of birth determines a lot of things. So let's begin with firstborns. Firstborns in traditional African society, especially if it is a male firstborn is considered the second father to the family. And as he grows up and becomes more responsible, and he marries and he acquires wealth, that is, becomes stable economically, he actually becomes the father in the family. This is important in marriage. So if you're a woman listening to this, whether you are married or you are single, or you have daughters, you should let them know this. I know things are changing, but this thing is still in place. If a firstborn is a male, as soon as he grows up and becomes an adult, get a job or a business or whatever, and then marries, he officially becomes the father of his father's family. This is not something new. What I'm saying is something that we know. What I'm going to tell you is the implication of that, which we don't pay attention to, and which has brought the collapse of many marriages. If your husband is a firstborn, or you are dating someone and that your boyfriend is a firstborn, what you need to know is that in African society, that your boyfriend or that your husband is the father to his father. That is interesting to say. Is the father to his father, is the father to his mother, and is the father to all his siblings. Psychologically, economically, emotionally, and otherwise. So what that means is that your husband has a lot of responsibility. He has you as his wife and your kids, your children that you have with him. But he also has his father's family to father. That is the dilemma many men, or is it a dilemma, really a challenge? Well, let's call it a challenge. That is a challenge that many people, many men in Africa find themselves, especially if you are a firstborn. And if you are a male listening to this, if you are married, of course, you know what I'm talking about. We're just going to help to talk about other things that will help you. If you are not married, as a young man, I encourage you to know this. If you are a firstborn, once you are married, once you become an adult, you become not only a father to your kids, but you become a father to your parents and to your siblings. That is the way African society is shaped. Even with the influence of the Western world, these things are still in place. It's important for you to know. If you're a woman, marrying a firstborn is not the same with marrying a middle child or a lastborn. It's different. Many women struggle in their marriages not because they are bad, not because their husbands are bad, not because there is anything bad about them. They love God, they're God-fearing, they're all good, but they don't realize that I am married to a firstborn. Let me give you this scenario, which many of you will agree with this. When a firstborn, especially a firstborn who comes from a humble background, that is, they are not that rich, let's just say a poor family, a struggling family. Maybe the father is even dead, the mother is a widow, and then your siblings, and then you are the oldest. And then you're struggling to go to school, struggling to earn a living, food in the family, everything is struggling in your family. And then you struggle through school, you finish school, and you struggle to get a job, you get a job. What that means for your mother is that finally, her husband has a job. Because for a widow in Africa, her firstborn or any of her child that becomes responsible, economically or financially stable, is her husband. That's the way it is. So your mother is looking at you as a new husband. You are the one to take care of her. Your siblings are looking at you as their father. We call them breadwinner of the family. You are responsible for them. That's the way it is in our culture. And it's a good culture. There's nothing wrong with that. We shouldn't make any mistake of saying that that is wrong. That, well, it's my husband, I don't care, his family. No. Wait a minute. The issue is this. You may see this as a problem now. A time will come when it is your own son that will now become someone that will help you and your other children. So you have to look at it very closely. The Western world, they have their own way of solving their problems. It's completely different. So it's always wrong for us, and I discourage this, to just copy people in the Western world. They have their own ways of solving their problems. So, and we don't have the mechanism that it takes to solve those problems. This is what we have. For now, let's hold on to it. It's important. So don't condemn it and say, no, once somebody is married, the Bible says your father, leave your father and your mother. So which means don't take care of your father and your mother. That's the way some people interpret that verse in Genesis 2, verse 24 and 25. That's not what the Bible is saying. And the Bible is not against culture, if the culture is good and helpful. So, if you're a woman, you are married to a firstborn, please realize that, especially if the firstborn is from a humble background, a family that is struggling, I'm telling you the truth. Some of the siblings in the family, they don't even want their brother to marry. Some of you know what I'm talking about. Some of the siblings in the family, they don't even want their brother to marry. At least not now. They want to enjoy him. They have suffered enough for so many years, and everybody put a hand for him to go through school and get a job or start a business and succeed in the business. And then now he wants to marry. Some mothers are not even supportive of that, which is not good. I wouldn't support that. But at the same time, some siblings also, because they want their brother to sponsor them to go to school. They want their brother to sponsor them to start a business. They want their brother to build a house for them in the family. They've been living in a house that doesn't really look good. Now they have a brother who finished university and has started a good job. So they expect him to build a house, build a fence, put a gate, do certain things for them, pay their school fees. And then all of a sudden, he's married to you. And now his attention is on you. That is the problem some men have. The problem becomes complicated when that firstborn gets married to a firstborn. that is another big trouble. When a firstborn child, a male, marries a female firstborn, it's double trouble. I'm not saying it's bad. We are not discouraging that. We are just saying you have to know what you're going into. So if you're a man, you're a firstborn already, which means a lot of things in the family are responsible. And then you marry a woman who is also a firstborn in her family. Or maybe she's considered a firstborn. So firstborn can be just by name. Sometimes somebody can be number 2, 3, or 4, but still take responsibility because of some reasons, becomes like the firstborn. So you marry a woman, maybe she's the firstborn or she's the secondborn, but then she's the first female child in the family, which means she's the firstborn in the family in terms of the female siblings. That means double trouble. If you're a man, you're listening to this, whether you're married, if you're married, you know what I'm talking about. If you're not married, you may have had this, but I'm trying to instill it into your head that this is serious in African society. You marry a woman who is a firstborn. It means that you, as a husband, you have now become the firstborn of that family to take care of her father, her mother, and her siblings. That is the way our society works. And there is nothing wrong with that if it is handled with wisdom. If it is handled with wisdom, all we are saying is that information, knowledge, we should know that. Many marriages have been in chaos, not because the two people married are bad, not because they don't love each other, not because the wife doesn't respect her husband or the husband doesn't love his wife, but because they don't realize that they married as firstborns. So, as I mentioned, I will say this again. In the Western world, this is not like a big problem. The problem is more of personality. So a lot of the books I read and articles, the writers here in America and in Europe, they focus more on personality differences and how that affect the relationship between the husband and the wife. So like firstborn and firstborn, they are both leaders. They are both perfectionists. They are both mostly melancholic. They are both independent, and they both want to control. So they will have clash. So if you're a firstborn and you have a firstborn, you marry, you will clash because both of you want to be in control, because you are by nature leaders, perfectionists, controllers. So who controls, the husband or the wife? You begin to have that problem. And you think that these are bad people. Or you begin to think you married the wrong husband, he's bad or she's bad. She's not respecting you, she's not this. You married a firstborn. That is the problem. You have to know that and then know how to handle it. That is very, very important. So, the problem arises also when a firstborn or whoever just out there marries a lastborn. So, a lastborn has a very unique position in the family. If you're a lastborn listening to me, or you have a lastborn, or your husband or your wife is a lastborn, or your boyfriend or girlfriend is a lastborn, you have to listen to this. The thing with lastborns is that they are last. So they are followers. They are hardly leaders. They don't want to be, even when you want to appoint them to lead something, they don't want to do it. Most of them. These are generalizations. There are exceptions. But they are followers. They are less responsible. You see, they are very laid back. They are not aggressive. They are not proactive about things. They're just laid back. They are playful. According to research, most comedians in the world are lastborns, actually. And research upon research has proved that. Most comedians in the world are lastborns. Not all of them, but most of them. They are very playful. They joke, because when they were small, everybody now plays with them. Everyone plays with them. And everyone, treats them very special. So they grow up, they care less about things, they have like this nonchalant attitude towards things. So they just joke about things. Everything is play, everything is a joke. So if you have a boyfriend like that, sometimes they are lastborns. Not all the time, sometimes. And so they are dependent also. So they listen, they want to follow, they want you to tell them what to do. That is what you find in lastborns. So that is something to consider. So if you are marrying a lastborn, as a woman especially, you have to know that this is what you are taking. It's not bad. That is just his personality. The implication of that in marriage is this. His siblings may carry over the control they have over him into your marital home. And so you have marriages in crisis today, not because the husband is bad, not because the wife is bad or disrespectful, but because this woman is married to a lastborn who is being controlled by his mother, by his siblings, or by his friends. Your problem is not you. Your problem is not your husband. Your problem is you have not discovered that you married a lastborn. Or if it is a woman, it's the same thing. It's easier if a man marries a last born. Actually, it's easier because it's more difficult for the family to control your home, except if you are not standing as a man to be in charge of your family. But if you're standing as a man, you will not allow someone to come and take control over your family. But it happens. It happens. You see a woman married, her sisters or her mother and other people, they are the ones calling her, telling her what to do. Or a woman married to a man, he's a last born, and he's not in control. His sister will tell him that they need to do this, they need to start building this house, they need to travel to this place, they need to do that. And you wonder what is happening. This is what you want as a wife, and your husband is looking for something else. And you begin to even question his love. You begin to doubt if he truly loves you. He loves you, but you see, he has people who have been controlling him for years, for at least 25 years, 30 years. And he's an adult, but they're still controlling him. He doesn't see anything wrong with that. You talk to him, he doesn't even understand why you're worried. He will just tell you, no, what is it? Leave her now. It's not a problem. She's not bad. That is the way he sees it. And you become concerned, especially if the wife is a firstborn and the husband is a lastborn. His family is trying to control him. And then you as his wife, you are the firstborn. You control everybody. And so it becomes a big war in the family. This is the problem that people face today. And sometimes we condemn them as bad people. A lot of marriages that get trouble sometimes, it's not as if one of them is bad. I want people to understand this. Sometimes we are quick to make conclusions, to make judgment, pass judgment as if we are perfect. We pass judgment, we point a finger as if we know she's a bad woman, she has been, even before we knew this would happen. They would say about the woman, we knew this would happen. Or about the man, we knew this would happen because he's this and that. You have to come into the family to realize that sometimes bad order is what is giving people headache. The reason why I'm doing this teaching is for people to understand that something that you know, but you don't pay attention to, is destroying your relationship, either in dating or in marriage. We all know the issue of bad order, but the problem is mostly in church, people are not being taught that bad order can have an impact on our marriage or dating relationship. We are not saying it is the only factor. There are other factors, but this is one of it. And it's important that we know that. And it's important that we pay attention to that. Now, what about a middle child? A middle child, we said, is highly competitive. So they're into competition. So that could lead to a leadership tussle in the family. But they are also, the thing with middle children is that they are also flexible. So they are both leaders and also followers, because they grew up, giving directions to other people, controlling the people below them, but they grew up listening and obeying orders. And so they are kind of flexible. They can fit in a little bit in different places. And if you look at their family, you will see some of these things I'm saying. Not everything exactly, but generally speaking, you will see the picture from firstborn to lastborn. You will see what I'm talking about. And so this is not in any way to say that when you marry, don't marry a firstborn, or don't marry a lastborn, or don't marry a middle child. That is not the focus of the teaching. The focus of the teaching, my thesis was that, and still is, that your bad order and that of your partner can impact the success and the joy or peace of your relationship, whether in dating and in marriage. It's just for you to know that. And then you know how to handle that. So that when you are getting married, you know what you're going into. According to a lot of research, most firstborns are highly successful people. CEOs of companies. Father, it's a study, I don't remember the exact numbers, but about 90-something%, I know it's more than 90, of CEOs of companies around the world, all these big companies, they are firstborns. Pilots, a lot of pilots, I think it's around 86% of pilots, they are firstborns. Scientists, a lot of people who have done a lot of great work in innovations, they are firstborns. So they are very intelligent, and they are proactive, they are progressive, they are aggressive, they are leaders, and they can fire you, you know, they can fire you from the work and hire a different person. They don't care, you know, about that. It's not as if they don't care about their feelings, but they want the job done. So firstborns can be like that. They're great leaders. And so it's important that we know that. If you're getting married, just know some of these differences. For middle children, of course, we said they are competitive. So in all this, the question is, for believers, what is the way forward? I know some of us that are more into what we call spiritualism, not spirituality. Spiritualism, we will say, well, all this psychological talk, it doesn't matter. Just have the fear of God. That is true. Number one, have the fear of God. I have it written here. Have the fear of God. If people have the fear of God, it helps. Okay? The Bible says in Proverbs 9:10 that the fear of God is the beginning of wisdom. So wisdom in marriage begins with the fear of God. And the verse says that a knowledge of the Holy One is insight. That is insight for living. Knowing God is very important if we know God. But the second thing is we should also acquire knowledge about human behavior. So you see, life is not just about the spiritual aspect. We human beings are not just spiritual beings. We are also social beings. We are also psychological beings. We are also physical beings. So it's important to have some of this knowledge about human behavior. It helps. It's not the central thing, but it helps. A lot of problems in marriages are not because of people don't fear God, but sometimes they don't study human behavior. And we, you know, if you are, you know, one of those biblicists, you know, biblicists are people who say everything is the Bible. So just Bible. Any other knowledge is irrelevant. I'm not part of that. I believe in the Bible as the last authority, final authority in all matters of faith and practice. But I believe that God has also given us the gift of science, the gift of social science and empirical science, the gift of other different fields that can help us. And we all know that those are helpful. And so the fear of God is the central thing. Knowing Jesus is the central thing. But again, I emphasize that as you go into marriage, or while you are married right now, you get knowledge about human behavior. It helps. There are headaches that people have that are not necessary. It's just because of ignorance. So this is what I have for today. Just to let us know that our birth order can affect and shape our relationship in dating and in marriage. And the question for you is, where do you fall in the birth order? Are you a first child? Are you a second child, third child, fourth, fifth, seventh, eighth, or whatever? Or are you a last born? That should tell you something about yourself. And also look at your partner, either your husband or your boyfriend. What is their birth order? And I encourage this, especially for those of us in Africa, particularly in Nigeria. Africa is too big for me to make any conclusion about it. We should know that marriage in our society is not just a relationship between one man and one woman. It goes beyond that. Yes, one man and one woman gets married, but your families are involved in your marriage, whether you want it or not. That is how our society is set up. And you look at scripture, that is the way, at least in the Jewish life, you know, the life of the Israelites, you know, they live as communities, as families. There is nothing wrong with that. What I'm saying is we should know that when you're married, your husband still has some responsibility to take care of his parents and his siblings. We're not saying he should abandon you and your children. He should also take care of you. But it's important for you to know that he's not going to abandon the family he had been with for 25, 30, 40 years. He's not going to abandon them. The same thing with a wife. When you are married, you should know that the wife you marry is not going to abandon a parent and a siblings. And so you should be ready to be part of that family. And I want to reiterate this. I want to emphasize this. I want to underscore this. The fact that, especially when you are marrying a firstborn from a humble family, please know this. If you're marrying a firstborn from a humble family, you should know that their family expect a lot from them. this can cause a lot of trouble in families. There are women that have a lot of marital problems because their husbands are firstborn and the family is struggling. And so now he has a job and is married and the family still wants his help. Please allow him to do that. It just as a man, you also have to balance it. Your first responsibility is your family, of course, your wife and your kids, and then your extended family, the family you come from, family of your parents. That is important. We shouldn't throw away that important culture that we have. If it is a woman, I will say this again. If it is a woman, you are married, she's the firstborn in the family, you should know that you will have to have take some responsibilities in that family, because the family look up to her. Family members, they look up to her. That is the way we are patterned. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just that you should think about your immediate family first and then help those other people. And we shouldn't conclude as if in the Western world, people don't take care of their extended family members. It's not true. Americans, I live in America. Americans love their extended family members, their parents and their siblings, and they help them to the extent that they can. So sometimes these things are just some prejudices and some stereotypes, some things that we just conclude. It's not as if Westerners don't take care of family. So that is important. So that's my encouragement to you this evening or morning or afternoon, wherever you are, that we should take note of this issue of birth order. So I pray that God will help us. I have a comment here. My last born is an exceptional to what the last born are. She's very industrial and has leadership trait. Yes, that's what we said. We said there are exceptions. So there are exceptions. There are always exceptions. So thank you for that. That was from Janet Madixon. Thank you. Somebody said, distinguish between spirituality and spiritualism. Spirituality has to do with the connection we have with God in terms of our relationship, like knowing God and working with Him by prayer and reading scripture and living your life to please Him. That is our spiritual life. Spiritualism is the view that everything is connected to the spiritual. So you over spiritualize things. So for instance, you are driving your car and the car breaks down, and then you say it's the devil. There are some spirit that have just hijacked the car, and you're going for evangelism. The reason why the car broke down is because some spiritual powers have attacked you. But then you check the car, you find out that your carburetor, your engine is faulty or something. Or anytime you are sick, you say that is the devil. Or anything that happens to you like issue of marriage. You make it everything about the spiritual aspect. So you want to choose a wife to marry, and then okay, don't worry about anything but a spiritual life. That is all. It doesn't matter if she looks good to you, if she's beautiful for you. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter her height. It doesn't matter the family she comes from. It doesn't matter if she deals with money prudently or not. It doesn't matter. Nothing matters. Just the spiritual aspect. So that is spiritualism. And that's not what the Bible teaches. The Bible doesn't teach spiritualism. It teaches spirituality, which is having a relationship with God. It doesn't mean that you now make everything to become spiritual. When there is a leak on your roof, then when it is raining, it's the devil, it's some demons that did that. Or when there's a cat in a bedroom, that black cat is sent by something. That is spiritualism. And that is very dangerous. And the Bible doesn't teach that. So that is the difference. Our brother Hussein says, thanks for the enlightenment. We have had more light and knowledge about how to handle relationship, marriage, vis-a-vis birth order. More action to function. Okay, thank you. This is just coming. So thank you very much. I guess those are the comments that we had for today. Next week on Wednesday, we'll resume. I'm sorry for yesterday we couldn't do this. And thank you for joining today. I know this was very inconveniencing for many people. But thank you for those of you who were able to come today, and I pray that this will be helpful. Please be mindful of your bath order, and be mindful of the bath order of your spouse or your partner, and tell others about it. It's important. It's not always the case, but generally speaking, we have that. So thank you, and you have a nice evening.